here's how to fix the front end suspension squeak on Tesla Model 3s. If you're driving and you hear the sound, the problem is this ball joint here. Now it could be on the other side, but there are two things you have to do it properly if you're going to do it yourself in lieu of a complete replacement. So I've got the car jacked up here, got my tools out, and I will show you what to do. .21mm socket. So now that the wheel is off, I've got a lot more access. So the next thing to do is to take this bolt out. Now this nut comes off with a 15mm socket or ratcheting box wrench, and the end of this bolt here takes a T50 Torx. All right, awesome. So here's the ball joint now that it's free to be moved around. Now, when I first did this, if you can see me moving it here, it did not want to move. And if you work it, you can get it to roll around through its full range of motion, and it may take some work, but start with that, okay? Now, when you've done that a few times, the next thing to do is add some grease. So what you can do is push it all the way to one end, and we'll get a grease needle out, and we're going to puncture a tiny little hole here and inject grease into this boot, which is sealed. All right, so those of you not familiar, this is a grease needle, and you can get them for $5 from an auto parts store or from Amazon, but it's got a Zerk fitting on one end and just a needle on the other. So if I plug it into just a regular old grease gun and I work it, you'll get grease coming out just like that. All right, so I'm going to stick the needle into the part of the boot that will be kind of collapsed when the joint is in its kind of natural position, just to keep the elements away from it. So inject the needle. I'll put in enough grease so you can see the boot start to bulge. Now, when I did this before, I injected it from the side, and I've heard guys recommend to actually puncture two holes so you get one acting as a vent, which is probably fine. But I'm not putting in so much grease that it's really bulging and being a problem. So now that there's some grease in there, really work it again through its full range of motion several times, just to make sure you're really getting grease between the ball and the socket, okay? And as you can see, or hear, you do not hear that obnoxious squeaking sound, which is a really good sign, okay? And if you look here, here's where my puncture hole is. Kind of in its natural position, it's pretty well protected when it's in its normal state. Alrighty? So, once this is really free, let's go ahead and start the reassembly process. Now what I would recommend is using some Never Seize, which, if you're not familiar, is this anti-seize lubricant. And what that's for is making sure that things don't seize together with rust or corrosion or whatnot when they're assembled. Okay, so put a little bit of Never Seize on here and a little bit inside of the mating pieces and the bolts and whatnot, but pretty much just reassemble everything the way it came apart and you're all set. So I'd recommend doing this on both sides of the car, which I did. The driver's side was fine. This ball joint moved much more freely, but I figured it was just a matter of time because the design is the same. Now, I do understand that Tesla has fixed this issue on their newer cars because it's a known thing. And I don't know exactly what the fix is. It may just be applying more grease from the factory. I'm not sure exactly, but don't be surprised if you have this show up. If you have an older car, this again is a 2020, and it was still an issue. So anyway, I hope this has been very helpful. Thank you so much for watching.